I need to record. Okay. Glad I remembered to do that before we went too far. Okay. Kevin, I was not able to hear you. Could you increase the volume or could you try to do it again?
Would you care to elaborate this elaborate explanation?
Okay. Okay, so the way you would say this is, would you care to elaborate on this elaborate information? Elaborate. You see it? So elaborate means, so the first word, correct? The first that's bolded is a verb, but the second that's bolded is an adjective. It's not a noun this time, it's an adjective. However, adjectives and nouns work the same, correct? You want to emphasize the beginning. So you would say this as, would you care to elaborate on the information? Sorry. Charge. So the first one that's bolded is a verb. So you want to emphasize the end. And the second one is an adjective. So you want to emphasize the beginning. So you would say, would you care to elaborate on this elaborate information or explanation? I keep reading this information, sorry. Would you care to elaborate on this elaborate information? Okay, so could someone read number 5? Vaibhav, could you do that, please?
Okay. The manufacturer couldn't recall if there would have been a recall.
I'm not sure if we did this right because I kind of forget. Could you do it again? Because I want to make sure you did it right, or if we did it the other way around. Could you read?
The manufacturer couldn't recall if there would have been a recall.
So for this one, you want to say the manufacturer couldn't recall if there had been a recall. Recall. So since the first one is a verb, oh, someone's here. Let me make sure they're there. Okay, I think they're joining, so. Okay, so someone's here. Let me go back. Okay, so for number 5, we have to remember that if it's a verb, we emphasize the end, and if it's a noun, you want to emphasize the beginning. So for number 5, you would say the manufacturer couldn't recall if there had been a recall. Recall, 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 recall. So the first recall is the verb to recall means to, I guess, to remember. He couldn't remember. So the manufacturer couldn't remember if there was a recall. So the manufacturer couldn't recall if there was a recall. Recall, to recall, that's a verb. So you want to emphasize the end. Call, right? And if it's a noun, you want to emphasize the beginning. Recall, recall, recall. You see that? Recall is the first one that's bolded is a verb, so you want to emphasize the end. But if it's the second one is a noun, so you want to emphasize the beginning. The manufacturer couldn't recall if there had been a recall. Recall, recall. That's the difference. So who is Galaxy M325G? Who's that?
Sarah, ma'am.
Sarah, okay. Sarah, so we're just, you just joined. So basically what we're doing is we're doing the same thing as last week, but we're practicing in sentences. Do you remember what we did last week, Sarah? Do you remember what we did last week? Okay, I'm not sure. Sarah, உனக்கு நான் பேசுறது புரியுதா?
லைட்டா பிரேக் ஆகி கேட்டுச்சு.
அப்படியா? நான் என்ன சொன்னேன்னா லாஸ்ட் வீக் நான் சொன்னது உனக்கு புரிஞ்சுதா? ஞாபகம் இருக்கா அப்படின்னு கேட்டேன். ஓகே, ஸோ உன்னால வந்து நம்பர் 6 பண்ண முடியுமா? உன்னால ரீட் பண்ண முடியுமா? Okay, so I'm not I think my voice breaking is my voice breaking for everyone else?
No, Akka.
No, Akka.
Okay, so I guess that's a good thing. So, okay. How about we go back to Kevin? Kevin, could you do number 6?
Religious convert want to convert the world.
So the first one is this time it's tricky because I swapped it around. நான் மாத்திட்டேன். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து noun வச்சுட்டு செகண்ட் verb வச்சிருக்கேன் இல்லையா? So noun என்னது? நம்ம வந்து beginning we have to emphasize the beginning and the verb we have to emphasize the end. So this one you would say the religious convert wanted to convert the world. The religious convert wanted to convert the world. So for the first word is a noun, so you would go convert. So every time I'm doing this motion, I'm just trying to say, if I go up, that means you're supposed to emphasize. Convert, you go down. Convert. And the second is a verb, so you would go convert. You see how I'm raising my voice? So the noun, I would say it as convert. And the verb I would say is convert. So a convert is a person that like a religious convert is a person and they want to convert the world, right? So that's what the difference is. Number 7, Shervin, could you do it, please?
The political rebels want to rebel against the world.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes it takes for me to hear you guys. That's so. I think you did it right, but let me say it again. So the first one is a verb. Sorry, the first one is a noun. So you would emphasize emphasize the beginning, and the second one is a verb. So you would emphasize the end.
The last.
Correct. So you would say the political rebels wanted to rebel against the world. The political rebels wanted to rebel against the world. So So you might ask me, so for number 5, the word recall, why is not rebel? The reason it's not rebel is because the word recall, do you guys know what re means? So the word, it's a prefix.
Again.
Correct, again. So the word means to redo something. Correct. So in the word recall, it's a prefix. Recall means recollect pandrathu, correct? It's something you want to recollect, correct? So recall, it's basically you're trying to remember again. You're trying to get your memories again. So recall, that's when you would say recall. But the word rebel is it's not, you're not, the word and the word rebel does not mean that you're trying to do something again. It's just the word rebel. So in the word recall, you see how the word means you're trying to do it again and recall, but in the word rebel, it's something different. It might be confusing, but sometimes is used as a prefix to mean to do something again. So like redo, regain, or what else? Or recall, right? But in the word rebel, that's something completely different. Someone was here. Okay, I think I admitted them. Okay, so for number 7, the first is a noun. So you want to emphasize the beginning. The second is a verb. So you want to emphasize the end. The political rebels wanted to rebel against the world. The political rebels wanted to rebel against the world, right? Who was that? Just Adel, could you hear me?
Yeah, Akka.
Okay, good. I think people are joining. That's why I keep looking into the side because people are texting me. Okay. So so basically, Adel, what we're doing is we are practicing from last week. So last week I explained to you guys that a verb, you want to emphasize the end, and a noun, you want to emphasize the beginning. So we're currently at number 7. And in the first one that's bolded is a noun, and the second word that's bolded is a verb. So if it's a noun, you want to emphasize the beginning, and if it's a verb, you want to emphasize the end. So the political rebels wanted to rebel against the world. Rebel, rebel. Do you see how I'm emphasizing reb in the first word, but in the second word, I emphasize the bell, because the first word is a noun, the second word is a verb. The political rebels wanted to rebel against the world. So நான் பேசும்போது I don't அவ்வளோ ஒரு push கொடுக்க மாட்டேன், but just to show you guys the difference, I make it sound very aggressive, and normally you wouldn't speak like this, but just so you guys can understand that when it's a noun, you have to emphasize the beginning, and when it's a verb, you have to emphasize the end. That's why I'm like making it really loud. But just remember that if it's a noun, you want to emphasize the beginning. A verb, you want to emphasize the end. The political rebels wanted to rebel against the world. Okay. Let's see. Number 8. Adil, could you do it?
Yeah. If you perfect your if you perfect your, one second.
Okay, so I'm not sure what happened to Adil. I think he went out. Okay, so first of all, I want to mention something. This meeting is going to end. 10 நிமிஷத்துல இருந்து இந்த meeting முடிய போகுது, but I want you guys to rejoin. I'll send the link again. Please rejoin. And I don't have the premium version of Zoom, so it only lets me to do it 40 minutes, which is very annoying. But do you guys know how to come back? I'll send the link. Okay, I'll send the link again, and please come back. So we have 9 more minutes left. But okay, so I don't know where Adil went. So Sarah, could you do, which one were we on? Number 8? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Is it Sarah? I think it's Sarah, not Sarah. Okay. Okay, so how about Shervin? Could you do it, Shervin? Number 8?
Yes. If you perfect your intonation, your accent will be perfect.
Oh, I think Sarah is able to hear me. Okay, so Shervin, you did do it correct. That's a good job. So you're supposed to, the way to say this is if you perfect your intonation, your accent will be perfect. If you perfect your intonation, your accent will be perfect. So Sherman, you actually did it right. So that's awesome. So the first bolded part is a verb, right? So you want to emphasize the end. So if you perfect your intonation, your accent will be perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay? To perfect means to like make everything as best as you possibly could. And if you do that, it will be perfect. Okay. Next one, number 9. Let's see. Who has not got? Rijo, could you do it, please?
Yeah, due to the drought, the fields didn't produce much produce this year.
That was perfect. Due to the drought, the fields didn't produce much produce this year. So, do you guys know the difference between produce and produce? There's a big difference. I want to know if you guys know. Produce and produce. So, I'm going to assume that means no. So, the first word here is produce, which is a verb. That's why you're emphasizing the end. The second one is a noun. So you're emphasizing the beginning. Produce, produce. Produce means to make something. To produce, the verb is to make something, to create something, right? But the word produce means food. It means like when you go to a supermarket, when you go to the grocery store and you get groceries like, I don't know, like onions, carrots and stuff like that, the food that you get from a supermarket, that's called produce. But the word produce means to make something. So there's a big difference between the verb and the noun form. So I want you guys to know that the verb is to create something, the noun is food from a supermarket. Or it's not any food, it's usually vegetables. So produce is usually vegetables. Okay. Number 10, Vaibhav, could you do number 10?
Yes. How much do you estimate that this estimate will be?
Sorry, Vishwa is trying to join. Okay. Okay, so the first one that's bolded is a verb.
Good morning, Akka.
Good morning, Vishwa. So we actually have 5 minutes left before this meeting ends, but I want you to join again. I'll send the link again. Okay, because we have, I think, how many more minutes? 20 more minutes left? Or no, we have until 11:30. So after this meeting ends, I want you to join again, okay? I'll send the link. Because this meeting only goes for 40 minutes and but our classes are 1 hour. So I'll send the link again. So join. Okay, so we're currently on number 10 and we're doing what we did last week with how we are supposed to nouns and verbs நம்ம படிச்சோம்ல last week. இந்த மாதிரி வந்து எப்படி nouns தான் வந்து beginning வந்து நம்ம emphasize பண்ணோம், end verbs தான் endல வந்து emphasize பண்ணோம். அதை பத்தி நம்ம திரும்பி படிக்கிறோம். ஆனா இந்த தடவை examples கொடுத்திருக்கேன். So number 10, the first is a verb. The first part that's bolded is a verb. The second word is that's bolded is a noun. So if it's a verb, you have to emphasize the end. If it's a noun, you have to emphasize the beginning. So you would say this as, how much do you estimate that this estimate will be? How much do you estimate that this estimate will be? Estimate, 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 estimate. I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you last week that if you have the word ATE, 8 at the end, if you have that, then let me actually go back to the previous slide. Let's see if I can do it. Here. So if you have, if a word is ending with the word 8 and it's a noun, you would say it as et. You don't pronounce the E. But if it's a verb, you pronounce it as 8. So for example, the word alternate, if it's a noun, you would say alternate. But if it's a verb, you would say alternate. You see how the endings are different? If it's a noun, you would say alternate. You don't say the E. But if it's a verb, you would say alternate. You would emphasize the end, and you have to say the 8 part. So if it's a noun வந்து வெறும் beginning மட்டும் தான் நம்ம emphasize பண்ணோம். அப்புறமா அந்த 8 சொல்லக்கூடாது. ஆனா verbனா end சொல்லணும். End emphasize பண்ணிட்டு 8 சொல்லணும். So the noun is alternate, the verb is alternate. So when you go back to the examples, the word the number 10, the first part is a noun, so you would say estimate. Or so sorry. The first part is a verb because you're estimating something, right? So the first part is a verb, so you would emphasize the end and you would say 8, estimate. And the second part is a noun, so you would not say 8 and you would emphasize the beginning. So you would say, how much do you estimate that this estimate will be? Estimate, 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 estimate. So how much do you estimate that this estimate will be? Okay. Number 11, Vishwa, could you do number 11?
Yes, Akka. One second, Akka. The Flelly Taylor wanted to separate the general topic into separate what courageous
Categories.
categories.
Okay. So the facilitator wanted to separate the general topic into separate categories. The facilitator wanted to separate the general topic into separate categories. So and there you have a person. And so this person is பிரிக்கிறாங்க. அது first வந்து verbல பிரிக்கிறாங்க into தனித்தனியா வந்து ஒரு கேட்டகரியில போடுறாங்க. Okay. So on the first வந்து verbனால நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுவோம்? It's ending in the word ate. That means if it's a verb, you have to pronounce it. Separate, separate, ate. You have to say that. But the second part is of adjective, correct? Separate categories. So categories is like, if you like, I don't know. What's the right word? If you have a lot of pencils, correct? If you have a lot of color pencils, some of them are pink, some of them are red. Pink color, red color. So that's what they're doing. Separate பண்றது. Okay. But the first, since it's a verb, you want to say separate. The second says you want to say separate. Okay, so this meeting is going to end less than a minute. So it might end any second. So I'm going to stop saying something and I will resend the link. So join again, okay?